It's a great pleasure to be able to chat with Gary Crispe, one of the great form analyst minds of horse racing. And Gary's got a fascinating background in it. He's going to tell us about that. And also about Timeform, which is such an important part of racing, lining up horses from all parts of the world against each other. Gary, thanks for joining us. Firstly, I want to delve into Timeform. You've been doing this now for a long, long time as the Australian official representative of Timeform. Tell us about Timeform in general.
Look, Timeform is an iconic global brand. It's still the gold standard for comparison of racehorse performance globally. Has been since the mid-1940s, I mean, everybody turns to Timeform as the authoritative source for measuring both current and past performances of thoroughbreds, and it's I think it's a very important part of our industry, and I feel privileged actually to have the opportunity to be involved in it, and that involvement started in 1999 and has been now for over 20 years, and it's a fascinating thing that we do, not the only thing we do at Racing Sports, but it's a very important one for the industry generally.
So tell us about the 5 top Australian horses that you've assessed internationally under the Timeform banner.
Well, obviously Black Caviar is right up there. That was one of the high points, I suppose, of my career, to be able to put a 136 figure on that mare, which made her the equal top-rated mare of all time, alongside Habibti and LA France.
And the valley roars! Weeks on the outside, moves up, takes the lead from Ben Battle.
Winks obviously is, everybody knows Winks these days, and we had her at 134, and a number that she ran, a couple of times, but obviously it's very hard for horses to run at that level consistently.
Cometh the hour, cometh the legend, greatness, Weeks has done it!
Might and Power is a 133 horse, and So You Think, and Haylist is in there as well.
You'd be as excited as anybody that Chris Waller and the team are going to really take on Royal Ascot this year. Does it add a little bit more pressure to your ratings? Nature Strip, what are your expectations? Very Elegant, Home Affairs looks like heading over as well. Is there any reason on ratings all 3 won't be super competitive?
Look, they will be. Basically, I've had a rule of thumb that you need to have a sprinter of 125 or higher to be competitive there. If you take Nature Strip, he's a strong 129 horse when he does everything right, when he turns up. And now he could, with that sort of rating, very competitive in both the King's Stand and the Diamond Jubilee. And Home Affairs is a 125 coming off his Coolmore win, which was a pretty dominant win, and he seems to be a horse that's actually getting better. So I think 125 is certainly a low side number for him, so he's certainly competitive. Very Elegant, 127 off a Melbourne Cup win is a very high number for a mare. Now, if she was to run in the Prince of Wales is a different gravy altogether. Like it's you've got to be a really good horse to win that. You're looking at over 130 normally. Now, Very Elegant is 127, plus she gets 3 pounds under the scale, so she'd be 130. So she'd be in the mix somewhere, again, depending on what turns up.
We're coming into an autumn carnival. Is there a few horses under the Timeform ratings that we should be watching out for? Some rising stars, if you like.
Well, I think Home Affairs, obviously, it depends what races he does go for. I think he's certainly a promising horse. Hammo, obviously, is a horse that raced well at 2, has come back at 3 and carried that form, which is a bit unusual these days. The 2-year-old form doesn't always translate to 3-year-old form, but he's certainly up for a big autumn. I think a horse called Top Ranked that's now here with Annabelle Neesham is a horse that's very interesting for us. He came here with a Timeform rating of about 120, similar to the Zaki type model, basically a mile horse in Europe, and performed well at that listed Group 3 level. He's had the 1 run here and ran very well. So I think he's a horse that we could actually see improve rather dramatically. And I think the Victorian Derby winner, Hitotsu, is another horse that I think shows an upward spiral in his ratings.
All right, I know I've indulged in Timeform, but it really does fascinate me, and I know it's a passion of yours, but more broadly on racing and sports, how many countries are you covering at the moment?
Well, on thoroughbreds, we cover around 29 countries, and we've got a couple more to go. And basically all those jurisdictions are rated with our kilogram rating and also the Timeform rating. So in some of those countries, we'd probably be the only people to have a to have a performance rating. The important part for us is to have a global handicap, a bit like the Timeform model with their own kilogram ratings, so that when horses travel, they come here or they go to other jurisdictions which we now cover for predictive purposes, then we've got a handle on just how that form's likely to stack up.
Well, really appreciate your insights today, Gary.
Pleasure, Adam. Thank you for having me.